We are here to put CAT Fundaes. Myself Sumit.
I'm Gyan.
Girish.
Anand.
So how many of you are here for the CAT Fundaes and how many for the GMAT? How many for the CAT? GMAT?
I mean, YLP. How many of you have applied for YLP? First stage is already done for YLP. That's it, just one.
And how many of you are writing CAT this year? Just checking. All of you are going to write CAT this year. The others are writing CAT next year.
When the CAT forms out?
CAT forms generally August second week to September third week or something of that sort, 1 month duration.
And you actually take them through the process first.
Okay, the process, I mean, pretty sure all of you know it. First, get the CAT form somewhere around mid-August to mid-September. CAT happens from 10th October to 9th November was our duration. CAT results came out on 9th Jan. Interview calls come in within a week after the results are announced. And interviews typically happen from mid-Feb to mid-March.
26 Feb usually they start around.
That is for IIM. I mean, the first interview was probably Lucknow, which started around 10 to 12 Feb.
Okay, so essentially what you need to know is, let's take this in steps. The first part is completing a CAT application form. Second part is preparing for the CAT and writing CAT. Third part is preparation for the interviews, and fourth part is the interviews themselves. Right? So we take you through this step by step. First,
CAT application form.
The application form. Essentially, it's it's pretty straightforward. All that you figure out. All that you need to know at that point is make sure that your information is correct. Right, because generally this CAT information is what is forwarded to all the IIMs as such. So especially your 10th mark and 12th mark are directly printed onto your interview call letter and all.
On every application form you'll have your 10th marks, 12th marks and your graduation marks. So make sure they are correct. Make sure your name is correct, okay, and you have a valid proof for that. I know 2 cases where the students were not allowed to write CAT at all, okay, just because their names did not match.
Whatever identity card you have, driver's license or passport, whatever you're going to take to your CAT center, please make sure that name matches exactly with the spaces and letters.
And also make sure that you bring your ID card, like valid ID card from home, right? I mean, assuming that the good ones are at home, make sure that you have them with you on the date of the CAT, because essentially the Prometric is the company which organizes both CAT and I think
GMAT.
So generally they are known for their efficiency, so they are being extremely strict about these things. You really don't want to get paid on the day of the exam if any of your details are not correct. An issue happened for me personally that one more thing, when you're writing your BTech score, be very careful what they're asking, because I wrote my GPA instead of my CGPA in my CAT form. And then I had to send a mail to all the IIMs that I was going to, saying that listen, there is a mistake. Just make sure that you don't kick me out saying that you lied to us, right? So that's it about the CAT application.
For dual degree students, BTech CGPA is your first 6 sem ka GPA. I mean CGPA. Don't write the CGPA at the end of 8 semesters.
And also write the CGPA of the grade card that you have in hand. Right, so basically your interviews will be happening in your 7th semester, 8th semester. So you're writing your CAT near the end of your 7th semester, and 8th semester only the interviews happen. But for us at least, we had only our 6th semester ka grade card. Right, so make sure that what you write reflects what documents you have. Right? Yeah.
First 6 sem CGPA is the BTech one.
BTech.
So MTech, the CGPA you have to calculate.
7th, 8th sem. Just the 7th and 8th semester.
Only 7th and 8th.
7th and 8th semester. But it does not matter.
Match with the grade card, right?
No, it won't match, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, that was with CAT application. Yeah, one more thing about CAT application. Many other schools accept your CAT score for an admission. So, what essentially the process for applying for CAT is, get a form, it will have a registration number, go to the CAT website and you use this registration number to register for your CAT exam, to select a date. And there they ask you what are IIMs and what are other schools you want to apply to. So make sure that you choose all the schools that you apply to. Later on you can't say that okay, I wanted to apply to the school but I forgot to select it on the CAT website. It won't hold good there.
And on a very crude basis, what you can do is click all of them that you want. Either if you don't understand what it's all about, just click all of them.
And it includes various programs offered by IIMs also.
For example, commonly what is there is the postgraduate program PGP and the postgraduate program in agribusiness management PGP ABM. So you will get separate calls for that, like you will call for either both of them and all. So just make sure that you have ticked all of them. You can figure it out later.
College ID cards are valid proofs for.
College ID cards are valid proofs with a debit card.
Make sure your photo is clear.
Yeah. Please make sure whatever you carry has a clear photo. I was personally pained because of that. I didn't have a clear photo ID card.
A better proof would be your PAN
Passport.
card or passport or driving license. Please carry those.
And whatever ID card you carry, keep it throughout the process.
Exactly.
I mean, we recommend that whatever ID card you show for your CAT exam, you keep the same for your interviews as well.
Application, that's more or less about it. You get them an Access Bank, it's somewhere near DR if anyone gets it.
Okay, personal point of view, people say that okay, write CAT in the initial stages or write CAT at the end stage.
Oh yeah, then you have to register your date for CAT. So what happens is there will be a window during which you actually register your date for CAT. They said CAT is what is from
10th
October 10
October
to
to
November 9. So there will be a window when you go and register online. Along with choosing what schools you want to apply for, there will also be a date which you have to select. So, and that is purely first come first served. There will be a date as well as a venue. So, I mean, it would be recommended that obviously you decide your date and venue really quickly enough so you get one of your choice.
Yeah, personal point, people say that okay, if you choose a date initially or if you choose a date at the end, it's the paper simpler or something. Please don't follow anything of that sort. I don't think that applies. That's my personal point of view. Choose whatever a date is.
It doesn't apply.
It doesn't apply.
So which one is better?
Whatever
Whatever is convenient for you.
Take into account that you will be having placements, various tests, PPTs will be happening. You need time for preparation. Generally, I would suggest, okay, again a personal recommendation, don't write CAT on the first day itself. CAT is known for throwing in some surprises. So maybe you can let go of the first day, but apart from that, any other day is fine. There are myths saying that don't write it on Sunday because guys with work ex write on Sundays and paper is tough and stuff like this. None of it is actually true.
Whatever paper you get in CAT is, they have their own algorithm of randomly selecting from a question bank. So don't attempt to don't think okay you can write it at the end and then okay build some sort of question bank from your friends and try and try. None of that is going to help. You select a date and time and venue which is convenient to you and then you go and write.
And also make sure you leave early enough to reach there because most of our CAT centers are in some godforsaken college outside Chennai.
And anyway, they call you 1.5 hours before your test for all the pre-registration process that goes on.
So basically, like if your exams are actually at 10 o'clock, you will have to be there by 8:30, and then you'll go and sit there. And I remember crashing for like half an hour, 1 hour, so you have to go in there that early. So make sure you have planned ahead for it. Have all your right. Okay, to sum up the preparation for CAT part, make sure you fill in the right details. Make sure you apply for all the different programs which are available. Make sure you have all your IDs in place and make sure you reach a CAT center on time without any issue. Choose a CAT center based on the academic calendar which will come out early enough for the next year. And that's about it.
You guys have any doubts?
Any questions
regarding
until
the application?
I mean, feel free to interrupt in between.
Alright, so till now it's fine.
The 12th score, do they give a format in which we have to give it, or like some people have, my 12th mark sheet has a percentage and a grade. The grade sounds better than the percentage. So, do I have an option to choose the method in which I code the marks, or I have
From what I remember, I think they give provision for both. There is a provision for both. I think percentage is compulsory, and along with that, they have an option. If a grade is given, you give the grade as well.
So from this,
But along with grade, you also need to give the conversion rate. I mean, whatever it is. So if you have percentage, I will convert it.
for this is going to come in handy later. IITs only give grade points, they don't give percentages. So get a letter from the CAT section saying that there's no conversion from grade point to percentages.
That will come in later.
Yeah, and one very useful resource for you would be pagalguy.com where yeah, that's what you do.
I mean, for any in general MBA related queries, you can refer to pagalguy.com.
See, essentially for those of you who haven't checked it out, I figured it out only once the whole process started. Pagalguy.com is this forum where everybody who's writing any sort of CATs at GMAT, no GMAT, but all of them are there. Okay, all this forum is for anyone who's writing MBA, and generally it's crowdsourcing information. So you'll get a lot of these 400 comment long threads where you will get lots of details. After their interviews, people will put up their interview card transcript. I mean, they'll type out whatever happened in their interview and put it out there. So that you'll get a lot of details, and then you'll know when the results come out.
Not only interviews, any information, when are the forms coming out, what are the dates, all information, whatever you need, it's very likely will be available on pagalga.com. Okay. So try and make as much as use.
It is
just a disclaimer, I did not know this website, it's not crucial, but yeah, it would probably be used.
So, are we done with the filling out form for CAT part? Any questions?
So if I'm a dual degree student, I write my 6th semester tak ka CGPA and my 7th semester separately.
No. She would have had only her 7th semester.
No, 7th and 8th.
Nee, sorry,
9th
7th,
you will be registering. You would have 7th and 8th.
So if my 7th and 8th semester CGPA is slightly low, but my BTech is good, will that make any does
MTech CGPA does not matter.
does not? It's a BTech one which matters, right?
Only completed MTech matters. So I mean, it's just for formality's sake.
So there is a +3 for.
That is completed MTech. That is completed
That does
MTech.
not count for us.
That does not count for us.
Okay, that's about CAT application now.
Preparation.
Yeah, this is the most crucial part, I guess, of the Fundae session. Preparation.
Okay, so right now the CAT we wrote was in 2 sections. I mean, this is for people who have not known anything about CAT, which was, I was part of that. See, basically the CAT paper is divided into 2 sections. How many questions does Fundae?
30. 70 minutes per section, 30 questions. You cannot use time from one section for the other.
See, first 70 minutes you will have quant and math related. So it essentially is your basic math as well as data interpretation, which is basically you'll be given a big table and you'll have to calculate percentages and subtract the percentages and find out which is the smallest. Essentially time consuming math.
Math is pre-calculus. You don't have calculus for math in quant. It's just pre-calculus math.
This is up to 10 standard.
10 standard basic mathematics Fundaes.
If you could, given infinite amount of time, everybody will crack all 30 questions. Just that it is for 70 minutes. Whoever is faster will be able to do it. That's all.
Second part is your
verbal ability and logical reasoning part of it.
So that has 2 parts. One will be based on your command over English, which will be things like I have a paragraph. They will give a paragraph. You will have five options which best completes the paragraph. Or you will have a jumbled paragraph and you have to put them in order. Things like that.
Find grammatical errors or
synonyms,
and fill in the blank type of questions.
Half of them. Other half will be things like there is a 6th floor apartment. John lives above Joy. Joy lives below this thing, but not above the other person.
A sits to the left of B. All of us have done these questions in our childhood, right? Exact same type of questions. 10 questions.
Simple, but time consuming. If you are fast at it, if you get lucky, you'll get the answer.
Oh, in the verbal section we missed out, there's also reading comprehension, which is possibly one of the most important parts.
Yeah,
of this. I mean, it encompasses
CBSE students. CBSE students. Yeah, English exam part A, basically.
Yeah, the paragraph will be pretty long.
Everyone would have that reading comprehension part of it.
Read the paragraph and answer the questions which follow.
Okay, it may not be as simple,
It's
but
not
okay, it is multiple choice. It's not, you don't have to write subjective answer. It's totally multiple choice.
But
and yeah, they will ask stuff like I don't know, simple. But okay, to keep the question simple, something like tone of the paragraph. So stuff like that. You may, in some cases, it will be simply finding where it is in the comprehension and choosing the right option. In other cases, you will have to think a little beyond and come up with the answer.
One tip for reading comprehension: when you're reading comprehension, you'll be given a scribble pad. Please note down the points, like first paragraph, an important point, so that you know where to look into the paragraph once you start reading questions.
In some cases, you may want to actually read the questions before you actually read the paragraph.
So
probably once you start reading the paragraph, I mean, there'll be different types of reading comprehensions. I mean, depending on the subject, it may be from arts, philosophy, science, technology, anything at all.
Typically, you'll have one from economics, finance background. You'll have one from arts. Social science, and that stuff. And one will be a general philosophy type of passages, just a typical distribution. And you'll have around 3 to 4 questions per paragraph. Strategies vary for each student. I mean, some of them like to read the questions first and then attempt, go through the paragraph. Some of them read through the paragraph and then attempt the questions, or else you can just browse through the paragraph, look at what the main points are, jot down the important ones, and then attempt the questions. It's up to you.
So this actually sums up pretty much like the entire CAT thing. Your style matters. At the end of the day, there are many different strategies you can adopt. Find out which strategy works for you. So we'll first, we'll now break this even more down. First, let's take the quant part. How do you handle it? So typical questions are clear. Essentially, you will have basic 10th maths, sorry.
10th maths.
And data interpretation. Essentially, it doesn't require you to know things, right? Beyond what you already know. The only thing which matters is how you tackle these questions. How fast you can tackle these questions. For which, personally, I found that, it makes more sense to get tips and tricks as to how to tackle these questions. There are all, those people who can add numbers in their head, multiply numbers in their head and do it really fast, right? Try to get those methods, right?
It's essentially speed. What I personally do is I try to do calculations in my head. This is a very personal thing for me. If I see a car number, I see if it is divisible by 9. If it is divisible by 9, I prime factorize it. So things like this help you to increase speed. That's a very personal thing for me.
So preparation for this section does not, unless you find you're extremely weak at certain concepts from your 10th standard, it doesn't really involve you to go back to your basic concepts. It just involves practice of those type of questions. It's as simple as that. That's what will improve your speed. So you will find that, say, after going through probably 10 mock tests, okay, we'll come to mock tests as well. After going through, say, 10 mock tests, you will find that a bunch of 10 sums in quant, what you were doing in, say, 30 minutes before these mock tests, you will probably find yourself doing it in 15 minutes.
And
it's as simple as that.
For quant, speed is the more essential criteria. So basically, there are around 10 questions which you need to do in 10 minutes, which says around 3, 4, 5, 6 into 7, 3, 1, 4. You have to do it as fast as you can in 10 minutes. Such kind of tests, if you take, you can increase your speed. So other than that, technically, you don't have to learn anything new in math. That I can assure you.
Just revise your basic triangle geometry, circle geometry, probability, permutations, combinations, numbers, functions to some extent, and
start listing out the concepts. Go back to your 10th standard textbook.
Go back, your 10th standard textbook is more than enough for us.
Listen, there is more than enough material available online which tells you what is a CAT preparation thing.
I think number theory is the only topic which is...
Is it good enough, or should we look beyond that too?
Personally, I think time material is more than good enough.
It's the mock test, essentially. At least for me, a large part of my preparation was writing, I think, a bunch of, say, 10 to 15 mock tests before the actual CAT and analyzing them. In fact, analysis is as important as taking the test itself. There are many people who generally go and give mock tests. They may do well. They may end up in a 99+ percentile in the mock test. But if you don't analyze yourself, you can't figure out where you actually made those mistakes. So rather than going back learning concepts, it's about simply finding out which areas you are weak at. And once you analyze the paper, you know how to tackle it next time.
It's essentially, it boils down to practice. I think that was a very good thing, that essentially you write a test. Then you will find that you have got lower than what you expected. Or you know that this has been really hard and it's low. Then you go back and see what are those answers that you got wrong and see why, what was the flaw in your logic. And then essentially you will get an idea. If you write enough tests, you will figure out, you will correct your thinking to suit their thinking, and then it will be fine.
Not only the ones that you made mistakes, and make sure that you go through the solutions for each and every question. Just there are shortcuts available, exactly.
We'll talk about quant first, no? So we'll go with global.
Do you have any specific?
Quant generally, at least in the initial stages of writing those tests and all that, most of you won't be able to attempt all 30 questions. Don't go for 30 questions. Rather focus on accuracy. It's okay even if you attempt 25, 26, 27 questions, but make sure you get almost all of them correct. That's
even 20. Important. I started off with having time to attempt only 18 or 19 questions, but ensure you get all of them right. That is more important. As time goes on, you will find that you will be able to attempt questions.
You will get better is something, and it was actually a nice feeling to know that I thought I was not so great at. Exactly my weak point was not the verbal part. My weak point was the math part, and it felt nice to know that I'm able to do things faster. And the first advice which one senior in IMA gave when I asked him a CAT prep was, he said, lose your calculator. Like they said, just try to do more. Lose your calculator. Start doing stuff by hand or in your brain. Try to try to get into the mode of like playing around with numbers, and soon by practice it will come to you, like even in class. So
It's about quant. Any questions regarding the quant part of CAT?
like, I have no idea what you just said is also a good question. So that's it about quant. See, what I suggest is go, before you start, do a mock CAT. Just do a mock, see how bad it is, or you'll generally get an idea of what sort of thing to expect. Because that's the major thing. Once you know what to expect, you can prepare for it. Do a mock CAT and then get down to preparation and figure things out. And then keep doing tests until you figure it out. Now the second part about verbal and
Data interpretation.
Oh, data
Which
interpretation
is essentially a
Hey,
page.
by the way, how many of you have registered for the time classes? Then on that login website, you would have those sectional details. So in case if you find any topic that you are not able to deal with, or in general, as I said, calculations, practice and all that, there are sectional tests available. It takes some 15-20 minutes. Amazing tests. Do them.
Amazing test, seriously. I have done there are around 120, 130 tests. I have done around 70 of them. Seriously worth it. Because you will have 15 questions in 15 minutes. You will have 15 questions in 30 minutes. You will have 30 questions in 70 minutes. All types of them. So you can immediately analyze after 15 minutes where you have gone wrong. So
And they have divided it concept wise. So if there are certain concepts you think you're weak at or you're not fast enough, you can simply just do those tests.
And there are more than enough tests available, so you don't have to. You won't run out of material to solve.
And off the record, even if you have not registered and you don't want to register also, there are more than enough people in IIT Madras who register for it and don't use the material. So
that's what
I used one guy's material and another guy's like missed. There is this thing called missed mock test. So if they miss it, then it doesn't come into their thing. So I just logged in and used it, wrote 3 mock tests, and that was made it free. So you can do that also. That also works. Just find out your friends who is registered and is not using it.
the verbal part,
DI.
different.
Okay. DI, okay,
DI
for me it was simply a very painful section because
DI
it
is
is
just
pure
calculation.
calculation. That's it. It's simply fast and efficient
Straightforward calculations is just that. Numbers are
Big
very
numbers.
Numbers can be
Yeah, I'll
as
give you
I
an
cannot
example.
approximate
When
that.
essentially a data interpretation, this thing will look like this. This is I don't know. I'm a vegetable company. I sell carrot, potatoes, tomatoes, blah blah blah. 5, 6 of them. This was my profit last year. This was my profit this year. In which of them did I have most marginal profit? So you have to simply
it's not
calculate.
only for 2 years, by the way. They'll give you data for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, just to increase
More than
profit.
the-
And in which year did we have the maximum average profit? Or in which year?
Maximum increase in profit per vegetable, which year was it? Okay. So basically they'll expect you to calculate all sorts of
Everything
numbers,
that you
and
can
approximations don't work.
Yeah, the numbers are very, very close to each other, so don't approximate, calculate.
You will probably, in most cases, you will have to take it to the second decimal point.
And sometimes you cannot.
So DI has no shortcuts.
No.
Well, it depends. Like for instance, again,
Be smart.
there are say different strategies for DI as well. In some cases, when you have like a table or data, sometimes people prefer to calculate everything they can. I mean, they look at the table and say, okay, what is the first thing you infer from these, and basically make some simple calculations in the beginning, so that you can probably use those simple results in your questions itself. Other people, yeah, directly go to the question and decide what they need.
BI, what I usually do is I look at the options. Because the data is too high, so you don't have to calculate for everything. When you have 4 options, just look at those 4 options and you can directly eliminate 2. Go for the second decimal for the rest of the 2 and you can get the answer. So generally you can go by the options for DI.
Something which helped me personally was to actually write down. I mean, see what I found is you have the question paper and you have rough paper. So when you calculate something, instead of randomly doing a scribble somewhere where you lose the number, if you can actually create a systematic table over here, these numbers are usually helpful for you to the calculation I do for the first question will help me do the third question. If I lose that calculation which I've done, I won't be able to do. I'll have to do the whole thing over again, right? So it's good if you have a systematic, you do your rough part and also have your systematic data that you've already calculated, which will help you later.
Can you get as many rough sheets you want, or is it limited?
It's more than
You will have enough. I mean, just organize your rough sheets like he said, and you should be.
You won't have time to fill that.
I think it's an 8 pages booklet that they give. So
You'll be given an eraser and you'll be having around 5 minutes of gap between you can erase in between.
After the first 70
Absolutely
minutes,
not necessary.
and second one you don't really need much space for the verbal comprehension
yeah,
Maybe
part.
for the interpretation, logical reasoning.
LR you may need some space, but you
What
have
about
an
you?
eraser.
They'll give you pencil and eraser, by the way. Pencil with an eraser at the back. So, that's essentially your writing material. You're not supposed to take anything with you to the exam. That's it about data interpretation. Any doubts?
Any doubts? Quant, DI. I mean, as engineers, we are supposed to be good at that part.
And that is the part which usually, like, that is partly the reason why IIMs are 95% engineers.
Quant and DI together is the section 1.
Yes.
So how do you split the time? Do you split the time somehow in between the
Questions
two?
are interspersed. So,
Oh.
Well, there's a strategy for, say, attempting the quant section itself. So some people, they may say, okay, let me leave the DI questions for the end, let me just do the quant stuff. Some people may go for the DI first and then say, okay, I have this much time to do the quant, let me do it. I mean, those strategies you work out as part of your mock test. When you write, say, you may write anywhere between 10 and 20 mock tests. It depends on you. Maybe after 5 mock tests, you figure out your perfect strategy. I mean, there's no perfect strategy. That is something you will figure out over a course of time.
I mean, you'll just figure out what works well for you, that's all.
yeah, you figure out how to write your quizzes now. Same thing. When you write more quizzes, you'll figure out, like, this thing works for you, that's it.
Roughly around 19 quant questions and around 11 DI questions. So that's a rough split. 20-10.
20-10, it's the same for ELR as well. 10 LR, 20 DA.
DA, verbal ability, LR, logical reasoning, DI, data interpretation, and
Quant DA.
QA.
Quantitative ability.
But DI won't have its own cutoff, right? So if so, I know that quant.
You have sectional cutoff. Section 1, QA plus DI, you'll have one separate cutoff, and ELR, you'll have another cutoff.
Yeah, you have section cutoffs, just be sure of that.
Now the second part, apparently verbal ability, so I remember going for a CAT Fundae last year, like 10 days before my CAT, that time the entire session was about how as IITians the quant part is easy for you and it is a verbal part that you have to focus on. Go read a dictionary and things like that, but this part please put Fundaes.
You are good at verbal.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I don't know.
Okay, we are not as bad as they make us out to be. That we are decently good with English. I mean, it's not GRE or GMAT English which is tough or anything. Most of the words you will know them. Okay, understand that for almost each and every question you will be able to guess the meaning of the word, or it won't happen that you won't be able to attempt the question just because you didn't know the word. Okay, it's very unlikely to happen. All that you need to know is
The context at least.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
There's no need to mark new words every day.
Huh,
I don't
yeah,
think that's
it's not a GRE
It's
style.
simply a matter of probably you reading the newspaper or reading a book off and on regularly. And I mean, if you come across a word that you don't
Yeah,
recognize,
start reading books, it generally helps you in life.
Verbal ability can be cracked in CAT. As if you look at GRE or GMAT, you have to start with basics like parallelism, subject, object, and parts of speech. You don't have to do that for CAT. You can crack it. You write 10 mock tests, you will get to know what you are good at. You will definitely get around 90% correct in them. The others you can get around 50% correct, which will get you around 18 questions right. So this is something which you can crack it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Verbal ability, you can crack CAT exam. The different types of questions that are available.
revise basic grammar rules.
Yeah, like the tense table, everyone remembers which tense comes where. Just revise that helps.
Try to reduce how much you use Insti-Lingo, it may help.
Yes, exactly. Please do
first
that.
multiple choice after also that doesn't really matter, but yeah.
The first mock that I wrote, my total was almost equal to my math score. So I was sure.
For some of us it was the opposite. But
So what I did was my objective was to crack this verbal part. So I wrote around 20 mocks even before the entire original test series completed, and I got to know that there are around 14-15 questions that I am really good at, like parajumbles. Parajumbles is your jumbled sentences, you have to order them, and then you have reading comprehensions, which are quite easy. So those are 9 questions plus 3 questions, 12 questions, and few other questions so that's close to 15 questions. So I made sure those 15 questions I always got them correct. In the next 15 questions, if I get at least 7 correct, then I'm out of 22 out of 30, which is very good. So that is what I tried, and by the end of 20 tests, that is what I could get. I can clearly say my English was very bad in the beginning, and in the end I could crack it. That's all I can say.
okay, a couple of points here. At least this is what our teachers from Time Pro. This is probably something I read somewhere, that the cat toppers in quotes, I mean, are the ones who actually crack the verbal ability section better. I don't know if you guys thought, because again, if you look at the demographic of people writing the test, it's primarily engineers. So cracking the verbal section to a better extent will probably set you apart. I mean, this is what I've read somewhere, that the toppers have better scores in verbal section, but yeah, that's...
Everybody says read good literature. What do you mean by good literature?
Read newspapers.
Not Chetan for that.
Read newspapers by understanding what is written in the newspaper and
Newspaper, preferably the Hindu as opposed to the Times of India.
Read blogs, good blogs. I mean,
Like, the name of you, or those RC links on Time websites are they?
Yeah. Passage,
You
RC
see, you are
passages.
probably better off reading the newspaper or articles online over saying, okay, I'm going to read this article for the purpose of, okay, cracking an RC in CAT. You are, I don't think
at least you gain much better knowledge.
See, essentially, it's asking for a lifestyle change. I mean, like not particularly for CAT I'm going to read, but generally start reading because it will help you. I mean, as far as I
help you in
see it,
placements, if not,
It'll help you in placements, help you in interviews as well. So,
see, fundamentally it will help you. I mean, if you can start reading and generally get into the mode of reading something or the other, it helps in a very subtle way in many places.
okay.
So,
And one more point about verbal section. As he said that GMAT or GRE English is tougher, if you actually prepare for GMAT or GRE English, CAT preparation for verbal reduces a lot.
yeah, there is this GMAT verbal review book which I think was quite useful. I think that's the one book I used which went outside of the mock tests or material which I saw, which was, you will find it on Flipkart. It's just called GMAT verbal review. This is by the official, this is the official preparation book by the GMAT setters. So it will actually give you exposure to questions different from what you see in your CAT results. So far what we've been talking about is, relies on the fact that, okay, we are assuming that CAT will have this particular pattern. It may change for you. We don't know. So it's good that you familiarize yourself with kinds of questions which are outside of this CAT pattern.
No, light.
Logical. Yeah.
logical reasoning, you guys, okay, essentially, the thing just familiarizing with you, that will be good. Essentially, what you'll have is, say, if you are able to create a three-dimensional matrix, the problem is solved. But unfortunately, on paper, you can draw only 2D. Essentially, each person will have, say, 3 attributes. He has a car, he has a
pet, he has a house.
3 things. So some people don't have houses, some people don't have pets, some people don't have cars, and 2 of them will go on holiday. So this is the sort of information that you have. Most of it you can put down on paper. Some of it you have to hold in your mind when you're analyzing. And like you're solving Sudoku, the more things you can fill in, the more, it'll add up and then you can create the whole matrix.
The words will be phrased in a very confusing manner. Just read them. Just read them coolly and calmly. You'll get what they try, what they are intended.
After some point, it's fun. Like you're doing Sudoku. It's fun to do the entire thing. One thing I noticed when I decided I'm writing CAT, I downloaded whatever material I could get from there. But there was too much bulk material and I didn't use it anyway. So LAN has this entire huge collection of all CAT papers from 1995 onwards. Right? So when you stare at the paper, there's nothing you can get out of it. Again, doing mock CATs is doing live mock CATs is probably what makes sense because you are recreating the CAT experience. If you can log in through yours or somebody else's account and do actual tests, it will help you the best, I'm presuming.
A personal pointer here while attempting CAT verbal section. Attempt all questions, you have nothing to lose. You don't know whether the answer is right or wrong, unlike quant where you can actually...
Yeah, there is negative marking, it's plus
There is negative marking, that's why I said it's a personal point. It's finally up to you as to how you want to take it.
All of you in this room wrote JEE, you know how it is when you have 4 options and you want to decide whether you want to guess or not. Essentially, it's actually the same thing as writing the JEE in terms of that. If you don't know an answer, you take a call whether you want to answer it or not. Sometimes you will know that there's absolutely wrong.
But the point is, with normalization and picture, you never know what happens when you make a wrong answer. In JU, it's just -1/4 or something, -1 or something. But here,
here I think
I'm not sure if you are less accurate. Less accurate, the normalization score will actually reduce your score.
You can normalize across CAT exams.
Yeah, we don't know. They don't reveal the formula by which they normalize the CAT scores across different tests. But one pointer to follow, which is probably applicable to all tests, is that if you go wrong in an easy question, an easy question is something will be cracked by many more people writing the test. So if you go wrong in an easy question, you definitely stand to lose a lot. So yeah, that is something. I mean, if you see a question and you know that it's easy, then definitely you need to make sure that you get it right.
Okay, so I think it's 8:55. We should move on.
Any doubts
Any
in verbal
questions?
BA?
Okay, we are done with CAT. So
Yeah.
until like writing your
Anything
CAT,
about
any
CAT preparation as such?
fast track, you can call and get a CAT.
When you guys start the preparation and any personal tips?
I think each one can start.
Give it only personal tips.
Each one can speak around a minute and so. Personally, what is it?
Personal point, my prep was 3 days, 3 sectional tests for each section, and that's it. It varies from person to person. That was my personal experience with
3
CAT.
days before that.
3 days before CAT. That's what one of my seniors had told me in my wing, and that's what I followed.
Mine wasn't 3 days. Probably around August. I mean, I started around August. Gave some mock CATs, and that's more or less about it. Saw the time material. I saw it just the English booklet. That's more or less about it.
Preparation started over the summer, I think sometime in June, and I just wrote mock tests and analyzed them. I didn't really go beyond doing that. One book I saw to some extent was GMAT verbal review, but beyond that I mean analysis of the test for me was a major part of my preparation.
Sagar Sahu.
I don't know. I thought the session was supposed to start at 8:45.
I think this is still CAT going on.
It's not GMAT.
Okay. Okay, I will put finance was CAT also. Done. I started my preparation somewhere in the summer because I wrote GMAT in the summer. So that kind of started off the CAT preparation. For CAT, I'd say focus on what you need to do. Everybody would need to do something else. If you are very good at maths, you won't need to do maths at all. You just need to revise those small properties of geometry that you may not remember. Other than that, everything is right. For English, if you are not very comfortable with reading different kinds of materials from different subjects, different topics, say philosophy or biology, I'd say start off because you might get reading comprehension on a subject which you're not very comfortable with. And if you already have a habit of reading different materials, then you'll be able to grasp it more quickly. So other than that, CAT is, for me, it was basically practice through the time material that was given, the English booklet, and the mock CATs. Yeah, that's all. Give mock CATs properly.
See, independent observation. Right, my preparation was also not too much. I had a reluctant friend for half a week. I logged into somebody else's time account and did his three missed mock CATs. And essentially, like that is why I'm all for analyzing your mock CAT and figuring out. What I have figured is essentially, especially in verbal, I found out where my logic was contradicting their logic. In the sense, I can justify that this is the best way for the paragraph to end, but they will have some little thing saying that no, the whole paragraph is like this, so this is how it should have ended. So once all I had was essentially figured out how they think, and once that was done, like
how time things, and is that necessary that?
Considering they've been around for so long, I mean, it worked. So I mean, they have, I mean, you know how it is, no? They figure out how IMC functions, and that's it about chat. No, I mean, yeah. Sorry?
Any number of times.
What?
How many times can you read CAT?
Yeah, any number of times. But obviously we would suggest that you prepare once well and you go and write it because frankly the learning value from CAT is say not maybe as much as a GMAT or a B-school process, maybe an ISP process. So I mean we recommend that if you are going for CAT then definitely go 100%.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I prepared only like half a week before CAT was because it's really irritating when you know that you have to learn basic math and English which really have no real bearing on your like life after that. It's like I don't mind learning in IIM and stuff, but this preparation doesn't really add value. Which is why it makes sense to write once and do it well, right?
Okay, my preparation started in around May, June. So mine was, as I said, first mock I cut my verbal ability a lot. So my strategy was to write as many mocks as possible and get my own strategy to crack with the verbal section. Math I didn't give much thought because most of the time I used to get around 60, 65. So I was okay with math. For verbal section, I've written all the 20 mock cards in the given window, in the given time window of Time Institute. Apart from that, the online sectional tests around 30, 40 at least. After which I had my own strategy on how to crack the exam. However, the questions are given, this is the order in which I will be answering them. So first I would start with the para jumpers, then I'll do one RC, then I'll do this. And the RCs will be there in 3 different lengths. So
Reading comprehension.
yeah, the longest one, then the shortest one, and the medium one. So this is the strategy that I have created after writing several mocks. So I would suggest, whichever is your weaker section, write as many mocks as possible and get your own strategy. So that is how I prepared. Apart from that, as I said, pagalguy.com really helped me. That is a very nice forum, online forum, where you get to gel along with your fellow people who are preparing for MBA. Every mock CAT has a specific group, specific thread, where each and every question will be discussed and several viewpoints are put forward. So you can always talk to them and say this is your way of doing it. You can get to know different other ways of doing it. If there is a simple formula, instead of going through a complete procedure, you get to know several ways of doing a similar question. So that's one from Pagal Guide. The second thing is the online sectional test, and the third is a mock CAT. So these 3 things I would suggest you people give a lot of importance to. Apart from that, have your own strategy.
Yeah, customizing is very important. What works for us may not work for you. Just give a lot of tests and then think what works for you.
So any questions regarding CAT prep and
Until CAT. So we have assumed that this is January 9th and we have
January 9th results are out.
until then any doubt.
And after writing CAT, peace out. Don't bother over it.
Okay, we'll have placement.
Okay, one factor, right, I mean, many of your placement tests will actually follow a pattern similar to CAT, or rather the kind of questions they'll ask in some of your placement tests will be similar to the ones asked in CAT. So your CAT prep will help for your placements to quite an extent.
Okay, we won't bore you. So January 9th at 3 AM you get the results, so that just like a mess registration, they want to make sure that not too many people.
But still,
And
But
still
it
there's
won't
no
open
classes,
at
just like Miss
It still won't open at 3 though.
it'll open only at 4:15 or something.
Yeah.
So if you have anybody in the US or UK who will generally be awake that time, you just tell them to check it for you and all you
It's, yeah, like,
I don't think all of them have any problems taking away the 3 or 4.
Alright, so now, okay, this is how it generally happens. Now once you have the results, your scorecard will come, it's a PDF which you have to download and keep. And after that, you will get call letters, hard copies from all IIMs that you have applied to and who want to. Each IIM has its own criteria for giving call letters, shortlisters. Right? Essentially, like they have a formula which use your 10th mark, 12th mark, BTech mark and CAT score.
What's
And work ex.
eligible, what's related to you people, your 10th marks, 12th marks, CGPA. If you're a dual degree student, then that CGPA does also not matter.
Your CGPA till 3rd sem.
Till
Fourth sem.
6 sems. That's about it.
And also, there
Gender
And
diversity.
yeah, all professions other than engineering get preference and girls get preference.
only in Calcutta.
Calcutta, yeah. As in, from ABC, only Calcutta is gender diversity. A and B don't.
So essentially up to CAT it's a common process, but once the results are out, each IIM will follow its own process. There will be absolutely no coordination also among them. So for example, Gyan had the situation, or rather even I had the situation where I had my Bangalore interview one evening and Ahmedabad the next morning.
And
So
Bangalore was in Bangalore.
and you
so
can
you will
give
have to
your
call and pay them and
and your centers will either, you can give your centers as Bangalore or Chennai for us. Right? Like most of them will have Chennai. For those which don't, you can give Bangalore. Bangalore is 6 hours from here, you can just go.
I'm sure they're already.
Just in case you people have forgotten refreshing, you have sectional cutoffs. You need to clear each sectional cutoff to get a call.
It's typically 90 percentile for both of them.
90 and
19 each plus your.
okay, each has their own process again for cutting off. So
So what
Basically,
happens
after CAT, every IIM will do whatever they feel like
except
doing. So
IMA doesn't give you any soft copy or online engagement with the result. They gave it.
yeah, they send a mail also.
Yeah.
They send a mail.
I didn't get it.
even I don't think I got it.
Okay, getting back, okay, we'll try to wrap this up really fast because we're supposed to close by 9. We should like see the time and all that. Right, so interviews will happen, you will get your interview dates, right? And you have to go to the interviews. You can choose which interviews to go to. Make sure that, okay, this is what we had. Ahmedabad had a form that you have to fill and take with you. Like, they had a booklet level thing which you have to fill, which contains everything. Bangalore required you to upload PDFs of all documents and an SOP. You had to give a statement.
References.
Yeah,
You have to give
references.
three
Three
references for
references.
Bangalore.
So which for me was my BTP prof.
Intern prof.
It can be anyone, your faculty members, your internship guide, anyone. Okay, anyone
Not
not
the
related.
references work, like, is there a form which you have to give to that person?
No,
they
have figured out something online.
Yeah, you
You just have to
send
send your mail ID. They'll take
Okay,
care of it.
B was entirely online. They have a portal where you upload the required documents, you fill in the required details, fill in the name and email ID of the referee, and they will hit submit. They will send them a mail and follow it up from there. And
won't
you
be
get
able to-
information when they fill in your form.
You won't be able to look at the questions. It's confidential. Only the referee and I am Bangalore know. I mean, the referee can be anybody. For me, it was my warden also, of my hostel also. I was the general secretary, so. It can be anybody.
It should be a relative.
Yeah, it should be a relative, preferably someone you work with over a longer period of
See,
time.
essentially
So,
somebody
BTP
who has
prof
a BTP prof work,
And it's someone from your
intern
internship.
guide or intern
Like,
boss.
do they look how important that person is and all, or do they look how good he has?
What opinion he has of you is probably
More
You're not sure what
They-
questions go
Probably
in.
they look at both.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
these
it is
way
objective evaluation. I guess I think the
Yeah,
referee will evaluate you on a scale of 5 or so on several top.
No, what I'm saying is, if that person who's referring to you, he's giving you a recommendation, he's a director of some company, or maybe he's just some manager. Does that matter? No,
I think it matters a little bit,
To
but
some extent-
what matters more is how closely you work with him. It's possible that the director won't know you properly, right? So if you ask the director to write it, his reference won't be personalized to you. It may be a very general reference.
Make sure it's personalized to you. That's more important.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, they just look at it during your interview.
Like 10, 9, 8, 7.
I think it is the
We haven't looked at the form, it's
We haven't
completely
looked at it,
confidential, so.
I mean, we don't know what the.
I heard it from people.
Yeah, that we choose. We send their email IDs and then it's everything
How
between
do
them.
we choose?
It's how you work.
Okay, it's a very small part
Yeah,
of a bigger
exactly,
picture.
it's a
very-
Yeah, you will figure it out. I mean, by the time you get the form, you will know who are the 3 people you can possibly write. I had only 3 people possibly.
If it was 4, I
Like
had
some
it.
of us actually struggle to get 3 people. Okay, so it's okay.
Figure it out. But more importantly, this is what happened. Okay, I'll take you through the process. Lucknow, this year what happened under it? First was Lucknow. Then we had ABC in whatever order.
Week span.
Yeah.
C was the last most.
Yeah, C was the last. So Lucknow, from what we saw, asked very GK oriented questions. It was in Bangalore, and they asked very GK oriented questions.
Okay, interview first. You have to go and write an essay.
So there are 2 parts to the interview. The day you go, you have a GD/WAT written ability test, followed by your interview. For Lucknow, the process was you first go there, you get a paper where you have to fill in write your essay, and based on that essay, 20 minutes to write the essay, and then you do the GD. For me, the essay was really bad. It was fashion fades, but style is eternal. And you write for 20 minutes, so you think about it. And then for then 15 minutes, all of us are like, yes, fashion fades, but style is eternal. Of course it is. Of course it is. Look at this, Liga. Look at this, Liga.
Oh, well, Lucknow is only on the group discussion.
Yeah.
It is right now.
Everyone else has left it, they packed it right now. So general Fundae per interview, carry all your documents.
Original certificates of all of it.
Carry all originals with you. Make sure they're in proper order. I mean, you'll be presenting them to the interviewers, so make sure it's presentable.
So buy this. Don't keep them all together in one set. You will get these folder files, file folders where you can insert things into them and flip through. So it's essentially like a portfolio that you carry.
Get all your certificates in order.
Collect all your certificates right now.
Whatever certificates you need. I mean, you will have time that semester,
Sarnam,
but
courtships, whatever you think of, just collect the originals.
And essentially at that point you need to get all your documents really straight, get them really in order, because you don't want to have issues after that. They will require you to carry your 10th mark, 12th mark, BTech score. Remember to fill in the BTech score only of the one which you have a grade card for. Your CAT scorecard, some forms which they ask you to fill.
CAT admit card also will be required.
Extracurricular.
And they'll give you a list of documents that you guys need. Each moving on to interviews.
Exactly. Okay, one last thing. See, this is, what all shortlisting criteria or whatever. L, A, B, C. L is GD, group discussion, written ability test, and personal interview. ABC is only written ability test and personal interview. Sorry, carry on, please.
B also has a statement of purpose.
Yeah,
So
which is
along
very
the
important
references,
because there's a very high probability that
Okay, let's go one by one.
Yeah.
Bangalore had, of course, apart from 3 references, what set them apart was the statement of purpose. So they don't really look at, say, they don't have a form in which you have to fill out, say, achievements over the past 4 years or positions of response. None of that. It's just a how many? 1,000 words. 600. It was a 600 word statement of purpose. So everything that you've anything significant that you've done in your life so far, which you think is worth talking about, should go into the statement of purpose. It will go through, quite a few iterations. You may go through about 5-6 iterations to get it in order. You'll have to send it to your seniors, preferably say people at IIM who have gone through this process. Your entire interview, or most of your Bangalore interview, will be based on what you write in this statement of purpose.
Personal point, don't think you can do this alone. Like, for me, I have a couple of people who I repeatedly paying to review every single application that I've sent out so far, and because somebody else can see what you are missing and they'll have good perspective. Also useful if they're also not, like if you have 1 or 2 people who are not from IIT, because you'll get the external perspective also. Yeah, let's go through it one by one. Lucknow, quickly, they were largely GK based.
Okay, interviews, the general point can be completely random. They can ask
everybody
anything
will
under the sun.
Yeah,
So,
everybody will
even if you ask 50 people what happened in their interviews,
Everything is
it's not going to help you more than if you ask, say, 5 people. Okay, so it can be absolutely anything under the sun. So for it, maybe it was GK questions, for others, it was something else. It really does, core question.
I mean, they can ask you core questions, GK, general opinions about current affairs or anything.
General life tips,
General life tips, exactly.
About your hobbies. If you
basically anything that you can think of.
Let's say if you play table tennis, they'll ask you what are the different types of grips that you have in a table tennis for a table tennis.
Dimensions of the table.
Yeah,
Dimensions of the ball.
Dimensions of the football.
Yeah.
So, and it's very informal. I mean, it'll be more like they are talking to you, getting to know you better.
Depends. I agree was a stress interview.
Yeah, you may have something called a stress interview. In a stress interview, what happens is they will not, normally in an interview, similar to what happened in business, they will normally let you direct the conversation. So in the sense that they ask you a question,
So they'll
you can
start with,
talking
so
about
tell me about yourself.
Yeah, that is the basic
the
starting point.
standard
You have to be very prepared with that question. You need to be able to talk for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe an hour about yourself. So this will include, not only stuff that you've done on your resume, but your other interests as well. So have that question extremely well prepared, because the rest of your interview may be totally based on what you say in that one question. Because what you say in that one question simply refers to whatever significant stuff you've done in your life so far.
And also, general dress code, dress smartly. Guys, you can choose to either it's full sleeve shirt or it's with blazer.
Suit and tie is not
necessary,
but it's up to you.
Most people
But at
wear
least a shave and cut your hair.
and if it's guru, cut your hair 1 week.
Probably a month before.
So for girls it's either I think churidar or formals. Whatever can be figured out. Do not be intimidated by the other people who are there.
You don't need to be intimidated people. You are from IIT, right? Not everybody else.
They'll be intimidated.
So don't worry about that.
I don't think we should
Hey,
put
in
across
fact,
that.
I mean, that's why I don't know, but probably we are the most chilled out guys, okay, at the interview. We'll be the only ones kidding, joking around, or everyone else will be reading something or
They'll
notes.
and all. Don't bother, it's going to be a generic.
If you have a person like Sumit beside you, people will all go to Sumit, so you'll be safe.
100%. Oh, for those of you who didn't know, Sumit Patil was 100% there. That means like.
So the people come and say, oh, you are the 100% title.
And for your interview, I'll tell you the difference between you guys and the people who will be there at the interviews. You are writing CAT because that is the thing that most people who are doing BTech do. The people there are really people who work in core companies for 1 or 2 years and they want to rise up in their job, so they have a real reason to actually want to do an MBA. Right? They generally have more purpose than you guys have. And at least for me, it was more of like figuring out what I will tell them rather than figuring out what I really want in life. So generally, the people with work-ex generally have a better thing to talk about because they can talk about their job and tell them why they want to do an MBA properly. So there is a certain amount of disdain when they come to see these IIT kids who just generally come there and just get into IIMs, which might work against you in the interview. Make sure you have, most interviews, you will end up having a general set of questions that you have to answer.
Make a good question. Make a good answer for why MBA.
Tell me about yourself and YMP are probably the two questions for which you will have to prepare extensively and know how to talk about it. Fine. It will require introspection from your side to some extent, but like he said, it is more about framing the answer as well.
And also, remember that if you have done anything that you mentioned to them, you will also have to back it up in the sense that, I told them, I had mentioned at some point that I have learned Carnatic music. They asked me what is I had three tabrams sitting at the panels. They asked me what is Medagartha Raga? What is this? What is that?
They may ask you to
ragams
sing.
are there?
They may ask you to sing, dance.
They didn't.
What they may. I mean, it's quite
That's
possible. So
possible.
be
Yeah,
prepared
they
for
are-
that. They will put you off. In the interview, suddenly one guy may sleep off, or start talking on his cell phone, or just walk out of the room. One will seem very
That's
interested,
part
the
of
others
the,
will try to put you off. So.
Part of the scenario of trying to intimidate you. That's all.
Yeah.
They're not literally sleeping. They just want to test you.
They just want to see your reaction, how you react to all that.
Also, the interviews can last from anything between 5 minutes to 20 minutes.
Average is
Even
25
longer,
minutes.
even longer.
5 minutes.
Minus 40 minutes.
Yeah, mine was
45.
All their Ramadan interviews were 40 minutes. Mine was, I think, less than 20 minutes. So,
Mine
I mean,
also.
as I figure out later, the length of the interview doesn't matter.
But it depends on the panel also. Okay, so what happened is for the morning panel, we figured out that panel 2 does things like this, then they change the person for the afternoon session. So that doesn't really work. I'll just give my personal story of each interview and close my yapping. Lucknow, they generally ravished, like they took my life talking about GK. They asked me who's the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, what Mamata's problem with Salman Rushdie is, none of which I had an answer to. What is the government doing with LPG cylinders? They asked them whether it was liberalization, privatization, globalization or LPG cylinders. So things like that happened. They were wondering, in all the interviews, they were like, okay, you seem to have a good CG, but you're saying you're not interested in MEC. How does that work? And I had to figure out an answer for that question. They wouldn't believe me. And things like that happen. So each person, you'll have a general story. Like they will look at you and see a pattern and ask you about it. So if it's like 10th really high mark, 12th low mark, BTech high mark, they'll ask you what happened in your 12th. You should have a story for that. Whatever spikes they see in your interview, you have to answer. That's it about L. L was largely database and it didn't happen. But since my CAT score was high, I got L admit also. That happened. Then the people you meet in one interview can end up coming with you to the other interviews also. Helps you build connections, makes sense to do it. Second, my next was Bangalore, where that was my stress interview. So they stressed me out on anything and everything under the sun. Why are you doing MEC if you are not interested in MEC? Aren't you wasting the country's resources argument? You did it, you said
you have to, be prepared to answer this question. 4 years, 5 years you have spent in IIT.
Why do you want to do an MBA?
Shouldn't you be doing engineering?
You say you're interested in social work, you work for tobacco farmers, helping them produce better. How does that make sense? How did that relate to ethics?
How does being an event coordinator in Shastra for 4 days correspond to, okay, that if that features primarily on your SOP or anywhere else, okay, how does that correspond to doing an MBA? So, you have to be prepared for questions like that. Rather, you will have to make up something on the fly there, but be prepared to face questions.
They will also ask you something related to your branch. They asked, my first question was, so what was the wonder material which was discovered recently? I didn't get what he meant, but finally I figured, thankfully because I did a project earlier, I knew that he was talking about graphene. And then he was asking me more about graphene, and then he went into other things. Lucknow, they asked me what is the difference between a 2-stroke engine and a 4-stroke engine. Things like that happen. So Bangalore was stress interview, generally stressed me out, felt that I did really badly, but later felt that it's okay, I managed the stress, turned out I didn't get angry. Then was Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad, I have respect for them simply because, see, all of them have a written ability test as well as an interview, right? For the written ability test, for Ahmedabad it was 10 minutes, right? You have 10 minutes to write in a space which is already provided. So, yeah, one basic funda, practice writing again because we are used to typing by now. It helps to get back into the flow of typing.
Check spellings and all.
Yeah, don't make spelling.
Don't make yes,
grammatical errors and spelling mistakes.
At least from my experience, it's they will check probably grammar and spelling.
Yeah.
That is primarily what they will check. Beyond that, they may check, how you put across the argument, what kind of points.
Content shouldn't be very bad, but even if it's not very good, it's alright. But grammar and spellings are important.
In which case, Bangalore, out of 15 marks for written ability test, 7.5 marks are for note content, 7.5 marks are for note style. So what points you put will be for 7.5, and how you write the the way you start off your introduction, summarizing, and the different points you make is the note style. So that is how it's clearly mentioned for Bangalore, but others.
But in Bangalore you have more time. Bangalore you have 30 minutes to think.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
Ahmedabad is only 10, 15.
10 to think, 20 to write was for Bangalore.
You figure all those out later.
And most of their these things will be, remember that it's Indian Institute of Management, so most of the WAT questions will be based in India. So for one of the questions